Hello there, my name is Angela D'Souza and I'm the founder of Women's Business Club and co-founder of Muffin and Poppy, and I've got my finger in a few other pies as well. And I'm super excited to be chatting with you today about how to lose business and alienate people. Now, obviously, you don't really want to lose business and alienate people, but I wanted to take a look at some of the things that we should not be doing rather than top tips for things that we should be doing. I think it's so important to understand how we could be damaging or sabotaging our business. Many times it's great to know what to do, but what about the things that we're doing that we shouldn't be doing? And so I'm going to flip this around today and I'm going to do a what not to do talk with you. Now, what qualifies me to share this with you? Who am I? Let me tell you a little bit so that you get some context before I jump straight into it. So first of all, I have failed at business. Yes, you're hearing from a failure. Now, I'm not only a failure, I've also succeeded in business. The beauty of this is I know both sides of the coin. I know what not to do and I know what to do, and I'm still learning and I'm still growing and figuring things out as I go along. But one thing I can tell you is that after my first business failed, my second business stood a much greater chance of success because I had that failure as my guiding light. Not only did it help me know what not to do, but it reminded me of how quickly and how easily things can go wrong. And so at first, yes, it was difficult. I went through a grieving process. I couldn't believe how painful it was to lose my first business. And I definitely wrote myself off. And yes, it did have a massive knock on my confidence. I lost my confidence and all the things that you would expect to happen. But once I got past that, once I realized that that was probably the best thing that could have happened to me, I was able to then launch another business, but this time be stronger, this time be more aware, have my eyes open. So many times we jump into business with this like romantic notion of running a business and we have a great idea. And the problem is we don't know what we don't know. And so we jump into it in many cases, unconsciously, completely ignorant. And what we need to do is get to the place where we become consciously competent. And it's so important that we understand knowing what not to do is so important so that we can avoid those pitfalls, so we can avoid making people resist us, not like us. It's not a popularity contest, but people do need to know, like, and trust you if they're going to do business with you. So I have started a brilliant, beautiful, successful business. I love what I'm doing. It's called Women's Business Club. It was launched in January of 2013. So we're just coming up to our 9th anniversary soon and heading into our 10th year. And I personally believe that an overnight success takes about 20 years. So I'm almost halfway there. And in 20 years' time, I'll be able to really be an expert and authority on building a business. But for now, I just want you to know that my journey has been an intense roller coaster ride. I've had days of loving what I do and days of hating what I do. And every year, at least twice, I've wanted to quit. I'm like, this is not worth it. I work more hours, I get paid less than ever before. I should just get a job. It's so much easier. And I wonder how many of you also identify with that. So you're either at the beginning of your journey and you don't identify with that at all, or you've been going for a while and you totally get what I'm saying. But regardless of where you're at in your business journey, I believe that what I'm going to share with you today will be true for all of us. And if not directly for us, then certainly we can take away some of these tips and share with our team and hope that our team don't make these common mistakes. So I'm going to share my screen with you just to make things a bit more interesting so you don't have to keep seeing my face. And we're going to get started. So how not to's. Let's take a look at how not to's. The first how not to is aggressive opinions. Now, what I've done, just for fun and just to make it more memorable, is I've created an acrostic from the word alienate. So we're going to take a look at the A, the L, the I, the E, the N, the A, the T, the E, and we're going to put a word together, a concept together based on each of those, so we can have a look at a few of my top tips of what not to do. So what do I mean by aggressive opinions? The quickest way to make people avoid you is by being unkind to others and publicly. And this is my top motto as well. It's so important. Always be kind. It's so important that we operate from a place of kindness. I've seen people who they rip people to shreds online publicly. They even tag them. In fact, I've personally been a victim of this. I had somebody dislike the Women's Business Awards. They were against what we were doing and how we were doing it. And they decided to make a fuss on LinkedIn and tag the company and rip us to shreds. Now, that person doesn't realize that those watching, those observing this conversation and her aggressive opinions are probably going to steer clear of her for fear that she would do the same to them. Now, she did attract a lot of support for her post. She did, but the support she attracted was based on her opinion of our company. It wasn't the truth of our company, and it wasn't truly how we run the awards. And so they were agreeing with her based on what she said, not what's on the truth. And unfortunately, people who do that publicly, yes, they might gather some agreement. They might gather people saying to them, oh, we agree with you, that's terrible, and boycott our company. But how many people are observing and watching and checking out our company and making a decision for themselves whether or not they want to do business with this lady with the aggressive opinions? Now, the first thing I did when we had this attack was respond publicly. We responded in a way that wasn't rude to her, and it wasn't offensive of us, but it was merely a factual comment where we stated the facts and left it at that, because not to comment would also have been damaging. And there are many cases where we simply don't comment. We simply just walk away because it's not worth it. But what I did do was have a look through her other LinkedIn comments, look at her activity history to see that she was actually just generally very negative and very aggressive in her opinions. Now, she may have been very good at what she did, and she may have even won one of our awards, but we instantly withdrew her nomination because that's not the type of person that we want to give an award to. And we also decided to steer clear of her. We would not do business with her, but also we would not recommend her. Now, that's just one example of somebody having aggressive opinions, and that was directly targeted to us as a company. But there are also people that I see on social media or on their email marketing that have aggressive opinions as well. And it's good to take a position. Don't get me wrong. It's not good to be a people pleaser and always play in the gray zone and never have a strong opinion. We need to have bold opinions. We need to stand for something, and we need to be sure what we stand for, and we need to decide which side we're on in particular topics. That I'm not saying be a people pleaser brand who's just gray all the time, because you'll never stand out. That's not what I'm saying. When I say aggressive opinions, I'm talking about things that are mostly unkind, because you can have a strong opinion about something and be really passionate about your opinion, but not realize that you're actually damaging other people in the process. You're being unkind, and you don't know how much of an impact that has, not only on the people that you're damaging, but on your brand. And so you will alienate people if you don't balance your strong opinions with being unkind and aggressive. And it's very important to find the difference. We do express strong opinions as a company. We are passionate about particular things. We are passionate about women progressing in their workplace. We are passionate about helping them smash through those glass ceilings and take their rightful place on boards. We're passionate about women becoming qualified and being the right women, not just being given token places on board because they're a woman. We're against that. We don't want to see women put on boards just because they're female, and the board needs to bring about some diversity balance tick boxes. No. And so there's just an example of some of our opinions. But if you notice, when we express our opinions, we're not hurting individuals in the process. We're merely enforcing what we're passionate about, what we believe in, and what we don't believe in, and hope that we will make a difference. But we're not attacking a company or a brand or an individual. Something else that we might do with strong opinions is we may comment on a particular piece of news. But again, we need to be very careful that our comment is strategic, that we are expressing our strong opinion on a particular piece of news in a way that it is good for our brand, that it is kind to others, but it's still not wishy-washy and weak. We are expressing our strong opinion. And so typically, people who are off-putting, people who will lose business and alienate people, are people who respond and react emotionally and express opinions off the cuff without giving any thought to it. So do express strong opinions, but take time to formulate your opinion carefully. Maybe run it by a few people or get your team to brainstorm and then come up with a really good response that makes you stand out. You want polarity. You want to put some people off and you want to attract some people. You want to put off the wrong people. You want to put off people that are not suitable for your business, and you want to attract the right people, people who are suitable. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to be suitable for everyone. So my rule of thumb, my motto is always be kind. You can't go wrong. If you don't know what to say, as long as you say it kindly, you're going to be one of those brands that are attractive. And that's what you want. You don't want to alienate people. You want to attract people to you, and you want to attract the right people. So let's be a bit more thoughtful and careful with these aggressive opinions. And let's rather formulate carefully crafted, on-brand, strong opinions that do good. The next one, the L in alienate, is lack of planning. And you know the saying, failing to plan is planning to fail. If you don't know where you are going, how will you know when you've arrived? And a statistic, I personally love statistics. 60% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years. And there are other statistics that say a particular amount of businesses fail in the first 5 years due to lack of planning. And so your plan, you can lose business, you can lose so much business and alienate people purely from a lack of a plan. You need to plan everything from your numbers. You've got to be on top of your numbers. Cash is king. No business survives without cash. At the end of the day, if you run out of money, your business fails. That's the bottom line. There's nothing else you can do. When you run out of money, that's it. If your business fails, that's it. Shop shut, job done, business gone. Planning can help you to avoid that. Planning can help you do your cash flow forecasts. You can predict where you're going. You can also anticipate problem areas. You can troubleshoot. You can do contingency planning. You can project manage certain things or the whole company or projects. And in your project management, you can look at possible things that could come up that could be damaging to your business. If you want to be successful in your business, or if you are in a career and you want to be successful in a career, regardless of the sector, regardless of your role, whether you are the cleaner, the street sweeper, or the senior executive in a company or a business, the ones who have a plan are going to get ahead, and they're going to get ahead strategically and intentionally because they plan to do so. And those who don't have a plan, very unlikely to get anywhere. So a plan can be anything. It can be absolutely anything, from a career plan where you set out your goals and your targets, you set out how you're going to get there, you set out who you need to speak to, what education you need to get, how you need to upskill. It can be anything from your personal plan, it can be your business plan, it can be your marketing plan, your sales plan. I mean, I could go on, you could plan out everything. Most important plan, of course, is your financial plan. You've got to have your financial plan. And off the back of your financial plan, the how you achieve those finances could then fan out into a marketing plan and a sales plan, and et cetera, a recruitment plan. Everything needs to be planned. And so as a business owner or somebody wanting to take control of their career, the best thing for you to do to succeed is get planning, fall in love with planning. If you hate planning, find a way to fall in love with it. Planning doesn't have to be bullet points on a Word doc. It doesn't have to be a spreadsheet. If you're a creative person, get out a book, a project book, get some glue, paper, scissors, ribbons, magazines, and put your plan into a scrapbook visually, or get a Pinterest board. I mean, planning does not have to mean a particular way of planning. It's just having a plan. And the plan is knowing where you want to get to, how you want to get there, and then break it down, reverse engineer every step of the way. If you don't have a plan, you could alienate people because nobody's going to follow a brand who doesn't know where they're going. If you get in your car, usually you would put in a destination in your sat-nav, wouldn't you? If you're going somewhere new or if you're going somewhere specific, you pop in the postcode. And what happens is the car, the sat-nav will calculate a route and it will get you from where you are to that destination. Now, how foolish would it be if you got in your car and you just started driving? You just decided, I'm going somewhere. Who knows where? Just got in your car and started driving. And you hoped to get to a particular destination, but you didn't put it in the sat-nav and you don't have any geographic knowledge of the area. And you got in your car and you started driving and you hoped to end up at that destination. It's ludicrous what I'm saying, but how many of us don't have a plan in our business and we expect to end up with our dreams? It doesn't work. And so if you don't want to lose business, if you don't want to alienate people, have a plan, a solid plan, communicate that plan, get others to buy into that plan, build a team around that plan, and then you will get to your destination. You will be able to realize your dreams. And so that's my second, not having a plan, not to do, is fail to plan. So let's get in love with planning. And if you genuinely hate it or struggle with it, that's the time to get a business coach or an expert alongside you to help you with your planning. I'm available if you like. I'm a spreadsheet nut, love spreadsheets, love planning. If you want a consultant, give me a call. Right, next one. Ignore people. Yay, let's ignore people. Let's ignore them intentionally until you want something from them. Let's ignore them blatantly until you want to sell something to them. Let's ignore them completely while they're on your team. One of the best ways to lose business and alienate people is to ignore people. There isn't a business alive that doesn't have people in it. It doesn't deal with people. If you want to build a great business, you have to take care of the people side of the business. People buy from people. You know that saying. Everybody says it. People buy from people. And it's true. People buy from people that they know, like, and trust. People buy from brands. They do buy from brands. And they buy from brands that care about their people. So it boils back to people. So the first point, I mean, there are a lot of points I could add here, but the first point, ignore them intentionally until you want something from them. That's like when you go on your email list or your phone list or your social media list and you're frantically messaging people because you want them to buy your latest product or attend your latest event. And so you go mad talking to people, inviting them. But in between you wanting something from them, you just ignore them. They send you messages, you skip, and they can see that you've skipped because it's shown as read. They ask you a question, you're like, oh, I don't have time for that, I'll ignore them. And even worse, when you want to sell something to them, your messages are either completely buy from me, buy from me, buy from me messages, and then their messages, their incoming messages to you are ignore, ignore, ignore. But when you want to sell them something, you start talking to them, you start picking up the conversation. Well, those people will see right through you and they'll be like, well, even if I wanted what you're offering, I'm not going to buy it from you on principle because you've just been plain rude to me. You've been ignoring me. And then the third kind of ignoring is ignore your team. You have a team. You're a leader of a team, or you're a member of a team. You're part of a team in your business or your company. And you're just an independent one-man band. You're working on your own, not working as part of a team. You're not engaging with your staff or the team you're leading. You're not nurturing and caring for people. You're just ignoring them. All you're doing is barking orders at them or emailing them instructions, and actually you're ignoring them. And that's the best way to lose business and alienate people. And the worst thing is they will eventually leave and they will tell other people about you, and they will not encourage other people to do business with you. And so one of the best things you can do is take time to connect with your team, whatever that means for you and your business. Take time to ask how they are, to catch up on how their son's football match went on Saturday, to ask them, you know, what's important to them? What are they passionate about? Where would they like to go in their career, or what would they like to see happen in the business? Get their opinion, have brainstorming sessions where everyone's free to share their opinion on the business. I mean, there's so many ways that you could take care of your people. And there are so few companies that actually do that. There's so few businesses that really value their people. I know Richard Branson is a brilliant example of this. If you read his books, if you watch some of his videos or read his LinkedIn articles, it comes through so strongly how important people are to him. You know, he really believes in taking care of staff, and the staff will take care of the customers. And it's a wonderful way to do business. And whether you love him or hate him, regardless, what he's saying is right. You know, you've got to look after your people if you want to build a great business. And so if you want to lose business and alienate people, then just keep ignoring people. Then we take a look at the E, eat your seed. Now, you may or may not have a clue of what I'm talking about, but I believe in the principle of seed time and harvest. I believe you sow and you reap, and I believe you reap what you sow. I also believe that you have seed to sow and food to eat. And a common mistake that people make is they eat their seed. They don't save or invest. They use all the money to the last penny and hope for the best. If you have a good understanding of seed time and harvest, you will see your seed and you'll be able to separate that from your food. And what I mean by that is the purpose of seed is to sow it, to make it grow. The purpose of food is to consume it so that you can have nutrients and health in your body. In a business, it's no different. If you're eating your seed and never sowing, you're going to struggle to grow your business because you will never get to that point where you have a harvest. Having a savings account as a business, having a contingency plan or a backup plan or a reserve fund, whatever you want to call it, is essential. Because as I said before, unexpected things happen. And if you don't have a reserve fund, if you're struggling financially, you could lose your business. And so it's very important. If you are responsible for a budget on a particular team, have a reserve fund in your budget. Don't spend your budget right till the end. And saving is one thing, one way of not eating your seed, but investing is even better. Investing is like planting your seed into the ground so it returns a significant harvest. So what would you identify as seed in your business, and what would you identify as food? And this doesn't just apply to finance, it applies to time as well. It applies to people, it applies to resources. What could you say, this is suitable for me to plant so it can grow? Is it taking a portion of your income and investing it in something so that your income grows? Is it taking a portion of your time and investing it in something so that you get a good return on your investment? Is it certain people that you can invest them in particular projects so that you get a good return? Identify what you would say you could use as seed in your business, and identify what you need to consume, what needs to be used up as expenses. Ask yourself, what is bringing in the most income to the company right now? Where is the bulk of our income coming from? And then ask yourself what you can do to invest more in that area. And then the flip side's true. What is hemorrhaging money or making no profit or little profit? And how much time are you investing in trying to make that thing work while you're neglecting the thing that's actually bringing the money in? And you'll very quickly be able to see what activity you should invest more in and what activity you should just completely cut out. So start to look at your time, your money, your team, your resources. Start to look at it differently. Imagine that your business is a field, and your time, your money, your resources, your people are seed. What can you sow, and what do you need to spend? What do you need to eat? And once you get into that way of thinking, once you get into the habit of doing that, your business will completely change. You will be much more on top of things, much more targeted, much more strategic. And so I'll leave that one with you. It's a bit abstract, but I'm hoping it will really help challenge your thinking. To look at not nurturing people. Staff turnover is costly and bad for your reputation. Are you investing as much as possible in your people? And this goes back to ignoring your team in many ways, but this is more proactive. Not nurturing people, not investing in people, is going to certainly make you lose business and alienate people. If you're investing in your people, they won't leave you. If you have a business and you take 6 months to train a new team member to get them up to speed where they are productive and contributing to the company, and 6 months later they leave and you start the whole process again, how much time and money are you wasting by high staff turnover? Isn't it better to invest in people so that they stay longer, so that they're more productive, so that they are saying good things about your company to those around them and encouraging people to do business? And this isn't just sales staff. This is absolutely every person that you come into contact with should be treated as if they're valuable, important, and worth investing in. I heard the other day about a company whose hiring policy states that you cannot be fired. Once we've recruited you, you cannot be fired. Now, I don't remember offhand which business this was, but if you Google it, I'm sure it'll come up. But their policy, and I'm not saying I agree with it or disagree with it, I'm just saying this is a very interesting policy where they don't fire people. They invest in you. They invest in you until you flourish. And so I think that would give people incredible job security and make them want to work harder. For me, that sounds a bit scary. What happens if somebody just takes advantage and is completely terrible? But I guess you would be more rigorous with your recruitment than ever before if that were the case. Now, that's an extreme example. That's a company who have decided that that's going to be how they handle things. But I would say there are so many things that good companies do that keep people and other companies don't do, and they alienate people. Things such as staff fun days, doing things where the staff can bond, where they can just have fun together with the senior management team all the way down to the juniors, just bonding. That is powerful. And it only takes a little bit of money to arrange an activity where you can get your people to really bond with the company and with each other. And a workforce that's bonded and they get to know each other a bit better and they're having fun together, that company will do so much better than a company that's all work and no play. That's just one example of nurturing. You could nurture in skills and training. Are you allowing people to upskill? Are you allowing them to become all that they can become? Are you helping them unleash their potential? Or are you keeping them in a box and they can only do X, Y, Z between 9 and 5, and that's all they'll ever be? Unless they produce the results you want, then they may get a promotion. Or are you saying, what is your career ambition? What are your dreams? How can we support you in your dreams? And I think that's such a wonderful way to build a business, and it's attractive. You won't alienate people. And, you know, if you have that mindset with your staff, that will come through when you're trying to win business. It'll come through to prospects, and it will really make your business much more attractive because it's healthy, because it's whole and wholesome, and you're going to be more likely to have people loyal to your brand, loyal to your company. They'll work harder. They'll go the extra mile because you've invested in them. They want to, out of their own free will, be more for you. Whereas if you don't do that, the opposite is true. And you will lose business and you will alienate people by not nurturing people. So you can nurture your team, your staff. You can even nurture your prospects, you know, people who are valuable to you. Find ways to nurture them. You could nurture your list of leads. Just send them something of value every now and then, an article or a sample or a gift code or something fun, something interesting, you know, nurturing even a massive database of 100,000 leads. You can either nurture them or you can just spam them to death, thereby alienating them. So consider your business and what can you do to nurture people? What can you do to get the best out of people by giving them your best? Again, what you sow, you reap. What you put in, you get out. If you're not nurturing your people, you're not going to get anything back. You're not going to reap anything or get anything out. Next, we take a look at automating everything. Now, caveat, I'm a massive fan of automation. Don't get me wrong, okay? But there's a line that you shouldn't cross, and that is automating everything. You automate your customer service. So your customers have to deal with a bot. There's no phone number for them to phone. There's no email address for them to email. There's a bot, an automated response on your website, and your customers have to deal with the bot. And hopefully your bot is programmed well enough to answer all their questions. And I've come across businesses that do that, and it's very frustrating. On the other hand, when I have come across a well-programmed bot and they can answer my question quickly and easily without me even having to speak to somebody, it's brilliant. I'm like, wow, that's an instant response. So there's a fine line between the two. And my view is that you can program a bot really, really well, and you can take care of people through a chatbot. You can. I've experienced it, and it's been a very pleasant experience when it's worked. But you need to have a real person available instantly or quite easily if that bot fails to take care of their need or their question. And so don't automate, don't rely on automation for everything. Use automation. Yes, as I said, I'm a massive fan. Use automation. It's really useful. And I, as a customer, don't mind dealing with automation if it takes care of me. But if I can't get hold of a real person and I'm reliant only on the automation, that can become really frustrating, and I won't want to do business with them again. And so you lose business and you alienate people. Also, customer service is not only about answering people's questions or dealing with complaints, but it's actually about initiating conversations sometimes to find out how they're doing, what do they want. And again, that can be done partially by automation, but also you want real people to be chatting with your customers to see how you're doing as a business. How do people perceive you? How happy are they? And so customer service is not something you want to rely on automation entirely. Another thing that we can automate is prospecting. Again, I'm not completely against a degree of automation on LinkedIn messages or social media messages or emails, whatever. But I'm against relying on automation exclusively, because that is just annoying. I can't tell you the number of conversations I've had on social media with a bot. I know it's a bot because they send information through to me. I respond with a specific question and they reply with a bog standard response, nothing to do with my question. So I ask another question and then I get another sales pitch. It's like, there's no human here. This is just automation. Now, one of the things that I like to do, and I'm pretty confident this is okay, but sometimes I feel like if I had more time, I probably wouldn't use the automation. But one thing I like to do is to send out an initial message using automation, generic message, but just one, what I call a conversation starter. So the bot starts the conversation, the automation starts the conversation. And based on their response, I pick it up, or one of my team pick it up, and it has a personal response. Most of the time we get it right. Sometimes we get it wrong because it's completely not the right person and it's not relevant. And that does annoy people. And it is a risk that we take. And in an ideal world, I would never use automation for that. But we don't live in an ideal world. And sometimes we have to rely on some automation. In an ideal world, you go onto LinkedIn or social media or a website to do your research. You get to understand who they are, what they're about, and you contact them if it's relevant, if it's right for you to do so, and you get in touch and you introduce yourself with relevant information. What the automation does is it contacts everyone, sends a blanket message, and annoys them to death. And you can set up your automation to send multiple messages. So they not only get one annoying message that's irrelevant, but they get multiple messages that are annoying and irrelevant, and they eventually block you. So that's the best way to lose business and alienate people. So take time. If you're going to do prospecting and you use a little bit of automation, that's absolutely fine. For example, I love remembering people's birthdays, but I have nearly 20,000 followers on LinkedIn and just as many on Facebook. And I cannot personally remember everybody's birthday, but I do love to be able to say happy birthday. So I've crafted a lovely message that's not just happy birthday, but it has a nice sentiment in, and my bot can send out that message and wish them a happy birthday. And then they reply. You know, the bot says something like, I hope you're having a wonderful birthday. Are you doing anything fun today or anything special today? So it's a remembering their birthday and asking a question to initiate genuine personal conversation. And many people reply and they say, thank you, I'm spending time with my family or whatever. And then I can reply personally and say, oh, that sounds lovely. Enjoy your day. And so I'm not only contacting people whenever I want to sell them something or ask them questions or do customer research. I'm also just having a personal conversation around their birthday with no ulterior motives. There's no follow-up to try and, win their business. And I think that does make a huge difference. I personally find it really useful. And so there are some automations. I also have automation that congratulates people on a new job, and it asks them if they need any support. And that's very useful because they get in touch and they say what support they need. And because Women's Business Club is about supporting women in their business or career, if they need support, then we can jump to it and say, right, well, this is how we can help you, or this is who we can connect you with. And so it's relevant and it's personal, but it's still automated. It starts out automated, but we pick it up with a personal response. And so you will lose people, you'll alienate them, and you'll lose business if you automate everything. But there's a lot that you can automate. as long as you follow it up with something personal so that it's not totally automated. And then also team care. So in the same way I said, I can automate birthday messages to my LinkedIn people. I can automate nurture messages or conversation starters. I can do that with my team too, but why would I want to? You know, my team are important to me. I need to make sure that, and also it depends how large your team is. Maybe you have 1,000 staff members. Well, you can't personally write everyone a card, but you can certainly get the team leader and give them a budget to get cards and flowers or something. You could easily automate all your team care. You could create a brilliant intranet with brilliant tutorials, videos, complaints procedures, you name it. The intranet is just perfect. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's good to be efficient and have everything on a good intranet. But what happens if they have a question or need some support? Is there support for them, or do they just get continually pointed back to the intranet, for example? And so make sure that there's always a personal element to taking care of your team. Make sure that they feel like they're valued as an individual, as a person within the company. And yes, they have a degree of automation. They have all their onboarding and everything automated, but they know who to contact if they get stuck or need some help. And so I'll end with how I started. I'm a massive fan of automation if it's done correctly, but automating everything is the best way to lose business and alienate people. Next, take, never give. Oh, do you know those people? I just feel drained even thinking about them, trying to tell you about them. These are takers. You'll be able to spot them a mile off. Once you've met them, for the first time at a networking event, you will spend every subsequent networking event finding ways to avoid them because they are draining. Takers drain you. They suck the life out of you, and they never give, or they seldom give, and they are the best way to lose business and alienate people because nobody wants to be around them. If you are a taker right now, you probably don't know you're a taker. Like I said previously, you don't know what you don't know. And takers are usually not aware that they're takers. Takers don't intentionally go out of their way to take. Takers are usually people who do it and then they don't realize that they're doing it. And so consider yourself, consider your business, consider the way you train people, and take an honest, long, hard look. And are you a taker or a giver? You see, givers are like sowers of a field. They keep giving, which is the same as a farmer keep putting seed into a field. They're going to keep getting a harvest. What you sow, you reap. What you give, you get. So you cannot overgive. You can overtake. And what we need, though, is a balance between giving and taking. There's a time to give and there's a time to take. And the best businesses, the most attractive businesses, they totally get when to give and when to take. Time takers. I have some of these in my world and I avoid them like the plague because my time is precious. I have very little time available and I want to use it the way I want to use it. And these people don't respect my time. There's a type of people that will turn up late or they will waffle endlessly with no clear point. They just people who drain and they're takers of time. And so those people, they are people I avoid. And that's one way for them to lose business and alienate people because they've alienated me and I don't want to do business with them because it's not worth the time it takes. And so be very careful that you're not one of those people. Respect people's time. Same goes with money. Takers of money, they always expect you to pay. They're not generous. They could overcharge. They could just be totally money focused. I knew somebody and I was shocked when I heard this. I heard it from an employee. This person instructed the employee, said, burn that time so we can bill him again quickly. He wanted that this client had paid a certain amount of money for a particular amount of work, And the full amount of time that he paid for actually wasn't needed. So the staff member, for example, only needed to do 1 hour of work to get the job done. But this employer instructed the staff member to burn 10 hours of time just so that he could bill the person again. Now, needless to say, that client stopped doing business with them because that employer was just essentially ripping him off. He was taking his money. And even though the client didn't know what was happening, I think he sensed something was off. And so he was alienated and that person lost business. There's no harm in being generous. And I always say generous comes from a place of strength. You can't be generous if you're giving from debt. If you're time poor or money poor, you can't give what you don't have. So be very careful that you don't mistake generosity with just giving recklessly. You're generous because you have time, you have money to give, and you're generous with it and you share it. But you need to build a good, strong business so that you can be generous. Too many people give discounts, they give time, they give away services or products too soon in the business, and they break their business, they damage it. You need to build a good, strong, profitable business so that you can be generous because you have capacity to be generous. And then the other type of people are those who take the limelight. They come into a networking event and they just dominate the conversation. You don't get a word in edgewise. The next time you come to a networking event, you're going to avoid that person because they just take all the time. They take the limelight. And personally, I find the best way to network is to be a listener. Listeners are attractive. Listeners will be sought out. If you're a listener and you really listen, you can find the relevant gaps. You can find out what they need so that when you pitch what your business has to offer, if and when it's relevant, it's a match and business is done. Whereas takers, they're just continually talking about themselves and their business and they're waffling, and actually they're putting people off, they're alienating them and they're losing business. So the best way to network or have meetings is to be the one who listens and then offer the right piece of advice or the right sales pitch at the right time with the right information. And that is a great way to build a business. Next, we move on to E, end your relationships badly. You burn your bridges, you make them pay, you ruin your reputation. So burning your bridges, you make sure that they never ever want to do business with you again. If you really want to alienate people, cut ties with them and burn your bridges. Make sure that they're out there saying bad things about you because of the way you ended the relationship. Make them pay is another one. You make sure they suffer. You make sure that you threaten them with legal action. You make sure that they pay for what they did to you. That's a great way to lose business and alienate people. And ruin your reputation. Make sure they know that you'll never take them back. Completely smash your reputation. That's a great way to lose business and alienate people. It's so important that in business, even if we were wronged, we can still end things well. Even if we want to fire a client or fire a staff member or let someone go, we can do it in a way that we end well. We end so that they can't say anything bad about us. We end so that they can't go out there and badmouth us to potential clients. The reputation is precious, and the way you end relationships, it could be any relationship. It could be a business deal. It could be, in fact, let me give an example. I was working on a business deal with somebody not too long ago, and there was a bit of a misunderstanding. This person had assumed I'd already agreed to the business deal, and I was actually still exploring it and still thinking about it. And there was no contract. And the way I'm accustomed to doing business is that when we have an agreement, then we sign a contract and then we plan the way forward. It's very clear and it's very systemized and very organized. This person didn't seem to do business that way. And once we had a conversation, assumed that I was all in and was all ready to start the relationship and everything. And we got to a point in the relationship when I realized what had happened. And I pulled back and I said, I'm so sorry, but I haven't decided yet if we're going to proceed. To which his response was, he just threw his toys out the cart, said some bad things to me, got really upset, and ended the relationship badly. Now, to be honest, I probably was going to do business with that company. Obviously, I'm not going to do it now. There's no ways I'm going to do business with them now. I liked what they had to offer. I just needed to tick a few more boxes and explore a few more things before I made my final decision to proceed. They ended it so badly that I'm too scared to go back to them now. And so I'd rather find somebody else offering the same thing, get a similar service from somebody else who's not going to be such a baby about things and throw their toys out the cart. It was just miscommunication. And the mistake and the miscommunication wouldn't have put me off doing business with them, but the way they ended did. And so even the way you end a relationship can be a positive. Even the way that you let things end, you let things settle, could be a positive to your business, or it could cause you to lose business and your reputation and alienate people. So I highly recommend that you also keep that in mind. There's another situation which I can't go into detail because of confidentiality, but I was wronged and I could have fought to get what was rightfully mine from this person, but I chose to let them get away with it for the sake of what they would say about the brand. Now, I don't let people walk all over me. Don't get me wrong. There are some people out there that I'm afraid I have had to take to court, and I don't tolerate non-payment. You know, if you don't pay, I have a good debt collection company that will do debt recovery for me. And it's a business, and if you don't pay, I'm going to get you to pay, right? It's quite black and white, really. Obviously, there are circumstances where we might give a membership holiday or something like that. Obviously, we're not like totally heartless, but if it's just a blatant non-payment, then we will look to recover the finances. So I'm not saying I'm a walkover, and just for the sake of my reputation, I'm not going to do things to rock the boat. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, in this case, I had to weigh up the little bit of money that was owed with the person's reach and network, and what the damage they would do, how much would that cost me? And it turned out, you know what, ending the relationship well and just bowing out and ending gracefully was better for the brand reputation and even financially in the long run. And so you have to be able to weigh up those decisions and be very sure that you're ending relationships in the right way. So let's be better. Let's stop losing business and alienating people. These are just some of my top tips. And there are many, many more, of course. But these are things that I think if we all started working on these things and got better at this, we will grow stronger, more profitable business. And that's ultimately what I would love to see. Is I would love to see us just all come together and build stronger, profitable businesses. So thank you so much for listening. I wish you every success in your business. And if you ever want to get in touch, if you want to have a chat, if you want to get some business advice, if you want to work with me in any capacity, or you want to find out more about Women's Business Club or any of my other businesses, then that's how you get in touch. Go to angeladesouza.com and I would love to connect with you. Bye.